Hi everyone, and welcome again to my audiovisual channel. My name is Gabriela Handal, I'm a draftsman, and today I want to talk to you about a drawing that I started recently, which is still in progress. This is not a reference versus finished work, partly because there is no reference, but because, as you know, in somewhat recent videos I have mentioned wanting to become a universal artist or universal master, as Leonardo da Vinci says in his notebooks. And so this drawing is a part of that, and I am relatively early in the process of the drawing, kind of like finding my way. So let me read you real quick what I mean with the universal artist thing here. It's from this book that I actually have found it, the Notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci, this one. And it says, quote, "The mind of a painter should be like a mirror, which always takes the color of the object it reflects and is filled by the images of as many objects as are in front of it. Therefore, you must know that you cannot be a good painter unless you are a universal master to represent by your art every kind of form produced by nature." End quote. So I haven't read that entire book. I mean to read it at some point and do a review like I did with the Dan Ross King book of the Judgment of Paris. But anyway, that's one of the reasons, or if not the only reason for which I'm trying to expand my pool of skill in drawing. And I mean, not just because of, it's been solidly backed up by a Leonardo statement by himself, but because I'm aware of the weaknesses that I have as an artist in this, in my work, and I want to work on those weaknesses. Okay. A recent attempt, if you remember, or, the directly before this drawing, is the copy that I did of William Holman Hunt's painting, The Bride of Bethlehem. And I did an analysis of that painting. And I also, for that one, I did do a reference versus finished work. And I'm gonna put a link for both of those as a card and in the video description so that you can go look at those whenever you want. Also, and I should have said this just slightly earlier, I'm gonna timestamp the video so that you can jump around if you want to skip something, because you want to go directly to the materials, because I am going to talk about the materials that I'm using and those which I'm not using. You will be able to find the chapters in the first comment, which will be pinned in the comment section, in the description, and also in your video screen, where you're watching the YouTube video. If you go on the progress bar and you hover over it with your mouse pointer, you'll be able to see the sections there with the corresponding name of each one that over which you hover. Okay? So yes, this drawing is another iteration at practicing, which is obviously a long-term practice. This is going to last for the rest of my life, probably. Practicing becoming a master artist. I know that he says painter, and I'm not a painter, I draw, but whatever. Same thing. So, okay. The current image that I have in mind for this drawing is a human skull that hangs, the type of human skull that you will find in an artist's studio, in a figure drawing classroom. We have the plastic skeletons at the academy. You can find them at other atelier type places. You look at them for reference, you just draw them, you can use them for studying the inner workings of the figure. So this is, in this case, it's a lone skull. This skull was like separated from the skeleton temporarily or forever, who knows. So the skull in the image that I have in mind hangs in front of arranged drapery, probably in somebody's studio or class, from the only place that makes sense, which is the foramen magnum. Foramen magnum is found in the inferior surface of the skull, It's where the spinal cord and all the what's the very first vertebrae? Atlas makes connection with the skull. The spinal cord goes into the skull, into the brain through the foramen magnum. So yes, that is the image that I'm trying to depict, and that I'm going to tell you what the drawing itself has been through up to now, its current status. So let's start. The original idea. Oh wait, no, I wanted to tell you what is challenging about this drawing, even without the corrections that I'm going to tell you about in a second, is the view of the skull is not just a regular ass anterior or lateral view of the skull, which I've done, both of which I've done many times in different, just floating in lots of places, different nowheres. There's drapery, which I have seldom done. I did it in the home and hunt drawing, and I've done it in other drawings, but I don't do it very often. Fabric. The image is an actual scene, or part of a scene at least, or it is a scene. Trying to occupy the entirety of the picture plane. No one is floating in space. No one is floating in the void, which is, I think, a classic pitfall of, lots of artists, but I think it's commonly ascribed. It commonly falls on people who draw, or illustrators. Well, not illustrators, but just drawing people. And there's background, in this case being the drapery. And I guess I just want to add, the only reason for which I'm pointing out so many times about something floating is because my advisor at the academy, who was Wade Schumann, and he was my advisor both of the last semesters of the second year at the MFA that I took there, and he was a fantastic advisor. And when he told me this, he wasn't my advisor. I just had critiques, just all the critiques that I could with everyone as soon as I could. Even in the first semester when I didn't have really that much work, or that was the excuse that people would use sometimes to not have critiques, but I was like, no, I want to talk to everyone, I want to see everyone, I want them to see me. So one of those times, very early on, like in the first semester, I talked with Wade for a critique, and he was like, oh, you're one of those weirdos in math class who draw on the corner of their notepad or notebook and draw floating eyes and floating things with no background, no composition, and this type of stuff. And he went on like this for a little while. And I mean, I didn't say anything. I mean, I just, first time that I'm meeting the guy, and it was just like, it was, first of all, accurate. Second of all, it was just funny. And it was just great. And anyway, so it kind of comes from that, because he was correct, at the very least, in my case. All right? Leave it at that. Okay, so let's start at how this drawing began, because it didn't begin the way that it looks now, which I'm going to show you towards the end. Okay, but so let me change the view here so that I can start showing you, and I'm gonna put myself up here in the corner. Okay, so this view that you have right here of this picture, these are all going to be cell phone pictures, by the way. I didn't have them scan anything because it's not like an official, I mean, it's not, the drawing isn't finished. This is how it started, okay? Just an interior view. There's a background there. The drapery is there because I wanted, like, again, I'm trying to like work on stuff, okay? It was just going to be the interior view of the skull. Like I said, I've done this a ton of times. There is drapery back there. And another thing that you're going to notice is that I think it's pretty funny. This upper corner here is like the only thing that hasn't changed in this drawing, which is pretty funny. But okay. So yes. All right, now the problem with the drawing at this point is that, so okay, like I said, I want the drawing, the skull to be somewhere. I don't want it to be floating. All right, so I mean, I'm like, all right, I mean, this can still be in a studio or something. Somebody could have been a monster and like drilled the skull into the wall, right? Because I think it kind of looks like it's, it looks like it's kind of somehow attached to the wall facing forward like that, all right? So, um, cool. Let's say that's maybe what's happening here. First, how would you do that? Okay, because like I was saying just now about about forum and magnum, that's like the largest hole in the inferior plane of the skull. A hand does not fit through there. Okay, so you couldn't stick your hand in there in order to stick a drill in there or a screw. You know, you can't do anything in order to somehow get in through there to attach the skull via a screw into the wall that way. Okay, so that's a problem, obviously. Second of all, once you managed that, if you managed it, you're gonna ruin that skull, whether it's an actual human skull or whether it's plastic. That skull is ruined. You're gonna totally, because it would have to be screwed somewhere in the back of the occipital bone, whatever, you know, you'd have to find where it would, you'd have to screw it so that it stays kind of rigid facing forward. And you're just gonna completely damage that skull. It's gonna have a hole back there forever, all right? And then you're kind of stuck with your skull there in that same position forever. And the whole point of having access to um, the different body parts, the different parts of the human body, including the skull, is that you can move them around, you can look at it from different sides, and you can change it and draw it from just every which angle. Um, so what I'm saying is that the image has a lot of problems. All right, that's what I'm saying. So I was like, all right. Then I was like, you know, maybe I can just make it hang. You know, I feel like if I owned a skull, I would probably try to hang it from, in fact, forum and magnum. Okay, so then that would mean that the skull would be hanging down, would be kind of like looking down. Okay, so then this brings us to the next, the first of many changes that I did to this drawing. Okay, that's the first, one of the first changes, many first changes. There's many changes here, obviously. So if we look at this, you know, looking forward and then looking down, the, you know, everything, it's like all of the planes are just looking down. Like the teeth are no longer straight, you know, they're no longer horizontal. The opening of the nose is like now down, you know, the openings of the orbits down, everything, you know. So I mean, you know, you might think that's obvious, you know, it is obvious, but yeah, the you know, so we start getting a little bit foreshortened because because the skull, the subject, is looking down. The mandible looks, should start to get a little bit smaller. Okay. All right. So as I work on the drawing, I'm like, you know, um, it's not looking right. Okay, it's not. I was like, it needs to look down more. So I tried to do that, make it look down a little more, and I mean, I did. It looks down a little more. You can see that the jaw is, I mean, the mandible is smaller still. I kind of changed the angle a little bit of the superior edge of the orbital sockets here. But you know, throughout these two stages that I just showed you, this one just now and this one, which is the previous stage, it just didn't look, it kept not looking right. Okay. So I was like, no, it's, you know, it's not, you know, the internal monologue, it's just not working. It's just not working. It looks weird. It doesn't look right. I mean, it's okay in the sense that I don't know if I've ever drawn a skull in this view, so then that still kind of still falls within the purview of my, oh, challenge myself or whatever. But it doesn't make sense as an image, I don't think. It, unless I want to kind of wash my hands with some kind of contemporary conceptual stuff, you know? I'll be like, oh yeah, it's like what? I don't know. I don't actually try to talk art speak, okay? Anyway, I don't think there's a justification for this image. So I was like, this doesn't look right. I have to change it more still. So now now I was like, all right, I clearly need help because did I mention that I have no reference for this? Um, I wrote it down in my notes. I have pretty good notes. I'm kind of surprised. It's like, who am I taking such good notes? But whatever. The thing is that um, I have no reference for this, all right? I had like the image that I described to you. And so I'm trying to draw it. So I got to the point where we have right here, and I was like, that doesn't look right. I need some fucking help, all right? So I made a ballpoint sketch of a skull in profile, a lateral view of a skull. Just give me one moment. Just a moment. Okay, so I made this ballpoint sketch because I made a bunch of ballpoint sketches along the way to help me with the thing. All right, so this is the lateral view essentially of what I imagine. Okay, so you have the skull, lateral view of the skull. It's hanging on the wall. It makes perfect sense to me that this is the occipital bone here, part of it, you know, the part that would be closest to the wall or in contact to the wall. Foramen magnum is right here. This is the mandible, and it makes a lot of sense to me that this part of the occipital bone and this the angle of the jaw would be the ones to be in direct contact with the wall. The hook from which the skull would hang is right here. Okay, and this was helpful. Okay, but in the lateral view, there isn't you can't see the foreshortening, or the foreshortening at least doesn't look the same as, where did I put, all right, just give me a second again, sorry. Let's see. Yes, this sketch. For this, well, this isn't, I mean, it's not a sketch by hand that I made or anything. I used the help of the anatomy app, anatomy.app. I'm gonna put the link to that in the video description, in the caption. And I haven't paid for that. They have just the skull available at no additional cost, so you can see what the thing looks like, and then the other plates you have to pay for. I haven't paid for anything. But you have your skull, and you can move it around with the mouse. You can see the underside, the side, you know, whatever. Anyway, so I was able to move this around. So I wasn't able to get the skull in the app at this angle. Okay, what I did was that I put it sideways, meaning in profile, lateral view, and then using an application in the computer, I rotated it. You know, pick any picture viewer. I rotated it. And then for this image on the left, you can see this on the app itself. So I just made the skull look down. And they're both screenshots. And then I just put them together in a picture viewing app. And so this is basically like the sketch that I showed you just now in the ballpoint sketch. And you don't see foreshortening this way, but here on the left, look at this foreshortening. The face is like way down here, and the face is like minuscule. It's like a fifth, all right, a quarter of the whole height of this or something. Like what? No, it's a fifth. It's very small, all right? It's a very small area of just the head in this view. So, I mean, just look at where we were before. It's very far from that, right? So I clearly have to make some changes. Okay, so then now I'm going to show you how I went from this to the super foreshortened skull, all right? And I just drew on top of this and then erased. That's basically what I did, okay? So first, here's the some of the first lines. All right, and this was, what was it? That was zygomatic. I was trying to make zygomatic because the height is basically, I left the height of the skull basically as this very same height. And I just made this area of what is, the dome of the head way big. Okay? So that's one. Those are the very first few lines that I started to make corrections. Then more. I actually think I might have made it a little bit, I might have chewed up a little bit from the bottom here. Because this is, I think these are the teeth here. Okay? Then erasure, I don't know. So yes, here you have your zygomatic again, and here the teeth are going to be around here. Then this, more erasing. And finally this one. This is actually what it looks like now. This is a recent picture. Most recent picture. So okay. That's where we are at present. So, I mean, that was just like the progression from starting. So this is where it is now, and this is where, step before last. Okay? Okay. So what other help did I have? Okay? So I mean, this looks closer to what I'm trying to do. Looks closer to a skull that's actually hanging from the foramen magnum, all right? I just have to work on it more, obviously. But the position of the skull, now it's starting to look right. Okay. All right, so let me talk to you about the other things that I am using to help me. I'm using a ball model and studies of that to help me with what would be the shadow that the skull is making. So, as I was showing you earlier in the sketch, the darkest shadow is gonna come from here and from here. Okay, but then we're not gonna, you don't see that from the view that we have. So it's gonna fade out a little bit. And I just have to keep all that stuff in mind. But so what I'm using is this model that I made in my studio. Okay? This ball is a gorgeous ball. Okay? Don't put tape on it because the glue of the tape is going to stick to the ball and you're going to have to clean it with alcohol and it's going to be disgusting. And I know that because I did it and it's nasty. Okay? Don't do it. It's tied around with twine. Is that twine? I don't know, whatever. It's like kitchen thread, the one you use to tie up your turkey and chicken and stuff. Hanging from the wall, and I set up this fabric to help me with what would be the fabric on the back of the skull. This is a drawing of mine. It's called Self-Portrait Mask. It's charcoal over paper. It's available for sale, by the way. All right, so that's the model that I have, and I've made studies of this. Let me show you them with ballpoint. So here's one, because the purpose is for that model to help me figure out what I want the shadow of the skull to do. So then, I mean, the gorgeous ball would be, of course, the huge occipital ball part of the skull. And so then that's here. I'm going to have to completely speculate on the jaw, on the mandible, because I don't know how to make a model for that, okay? But I mean, I think I can use logic for that. So yes, that's the ballpoint sketch I made for that. And I also drew the whole thing, made a sketch of it, kind of like this. I mean, I play with it sometimes. When I sit down to sketch for like a quarter of an hour before I start, before to like warm up a little bit. Okay, so then that's another study I did. So now I'm going to show you specifically the studies for drapery, meaning the fabric itself, because I need help with that. So here's one of the tacks that are on the you know, like the thumbtacks or the pins, I don't know what they're called. They're on the wall, and you know, just to see how the shadow would behave and how the fabric itself behaves, or you know, how the fabric behaves under light and shadow. And I also made this one that I really like. This one. I like this one a lot. I used a zebra ballpoint pen for most of those, I think including this one, but I'm not sure now. I might have used this too. This is a Pilot B2P. I don't know what that means. Oh, bottle to pen. These are made in the US. This is, what is that? Pilot, yeah, Pilot. Anyway, okay, so these are the studies that I did. So when you don't have a reference, I don't know. I need help. And I also, as far as I understand, the old-timey people, this is how they used to do it as well. They did work from life in order to do their studies and stuff, but then a lot of the times the finished work would be composed of the studies. Like, they wouldn't necessarily compose the entire scene in their studio day after day to paint from. They would do studies, and then with the information gathered from the studies, then they would make their finished work. And so that's kind of what I'm doing, and I feel pretty cool doing it, I gotta tell you. Okay, now let's move on to technical information. We're almost done. I'm almost done with the stuff I want to tell you about. I'm gonna want to talk to you about the working setup. So this is, let me show you how I have the drawing up now. This is the Easel setup. So this is my Easel. It's I don't remember what brand it is, but anyway, I have the panel. You know, you have the panel here. I have it taped with blue tape, painter's tape. On this other panel that is just the panel sheet, and then I have it clamped to the easel with these clamps. Yes, so that's the anterior, you know, the front view of that setup, and here you have a side view of it also. This panel is a Richardson, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's also made in the USA. This one back here is one of my drawings too. You can find it on my website. It's for sale, yes. So yeah, this is what the drawing looks like on the easel before I put it up on the easel. Oh, and I want to note again, just for kicks, how this upper left corner is the only one that has not changed so far, okay? I just think that's kind of funny. Yes. So before having the drawing up in the easel like this, I had it basically the same with the tape and everything, but I had it, so you can see that I'm on a desk now. I had it down here on the desk, and I would be drawing on it like this, like hunched over. That's really difficult because of the raising of, because the depth of the panel, I measured it just now, it's 1.25 inches. So I mean, the depth isn't strictly what's making it difficult. It's the fact that it's just like lifted like that. And also, I mean, it's whenever I work effectively down on my desk like this, I mean, just leaning on my desk instead of up on an easel, I end up inevitably putting my hands on the work, just like because I have to lean somewhere for stability. And that ends up staining the paper because of the grease in your hands. It doesn't matter how much you wash them, your hands, your skin is always excreting stuff. That's normal and healthy, but it's going to stain the paper. Okay, so so yes, the dimensions of the drawing, we can see that it's not very big or anything. It's 5 by 7. Let me give you the front anterior view. Oh, and well, you know, I changed also this drapery down here a little bit because I'm still working on it, you know. But anyway, it's 5 by 7, 5 width, 7 height, and then the depth is 1/4 inch. Okay, now what am I using? This paper is Strathmore paper mounted on a panel, this tiny panel that I found. I don't remember what sort of Strathmore it is. It's some kind of fancy Strathmore that I got a folder with samples in some Strathmore lecture that there was at the academy. The lecturer gave everybody samples, and I was like, give them all to me because they were awesome. But I don't remember what kind of Strathmore it is. But it's Strathmore. It's lovely. The pencils that I'm using are, for now, I'm using 2 pencils. And not because, oh, you use the H's for sketching and the B's for shadows, because I don't do that shit, all right? Right now, I'm just using pencils that are really small, like this one. It's like, I have like this much left of this pencil, just because I want to use them before I start new pencils. So I'm using pencils that I have already started that seem relatively similar to me. But anyway, the thing is that if you're skilled and careful with your pencil marks, you can use one pencil for the entirety of a drawing. You don't need to be precious about stuff, all right? I'm just saying. The thing is that this one here is, I think it's Prismacolor, and I think it was called turquoise. I really like this pencil. I was given 2 of these or found them, I don't know what, but this teeny tiny bit is what is left of it. All right? Maybe I can make myself bigger again here. Just give me a minute so that I can show you the pencils. Small baby pencil. That is what is left. So yeah, I think it's a Prismacolor. I think it's called turquoise. I would say that it's kind of like a B or a 2B of other sorts of pencils. And the other one that I'm using for now is this Staedtler 3B Staedtler pencil. These are the 2 that I'm using for now. Again, I'm using them because it seems like they're relatively similar to me in terms of, the color and stuff and just how dark or light they can go. So that's what I'm using. The erasers that I'm using and other tools that I'm using are the following. A kneading eraser. I forgot what this one is. Just give me a second. This is a Faber-Castell, but it's very small, so I have it in a pencil extender as well. It's one of these eraser pencils that, by the way, are pretty cool because you can shape the rubber part, with your blades. But I want to tell you what kind of Faber-Castell it is. It's a Faber-Castell Perfection 7056. Here's a whole one, like this. Okay, so that one, I'm using a Tombow Mono Zero Elastomer Eraser, this device. And I also have, the thing is faded on this. I don't know what this is. It just says precision on it. It has tape on it there because it broke. It's slightly bigger than the Tombow. And that's not exactly why I have it. I mean, it is and it isn't. It depends on whatever it is that I am doing in the moment. The reason I have very many erasers is because, let me just show you the last one. It's this one, this tiny one with a broom, which is also a Faber-Castell, Perfection 7058B. Here's a new one that I haven't used it because I'm still using this one. I have this because of this teeny tiny broom at the end. Because again, I don't want to, in this occasion, I don't want to stick my hands in the drawing because I don't want to stain it and I don't want to risk like smearing the graphite. So I gingerly use this carefully. So yeah, the reason I have different erasers, I mean, generally the kneading eraser, if you're just getting started and you're doing your first light marks, this will take pretty good care of basically everything. But then when you start to make darker marks or when you start to change your mind the way that I have been with this drawing, you need a little bit more strength. So I don't know quite how the chemistry or whatever is happening with the you know, with the graphite and the paper there, you know, um, what's it called? The sizing of the paper, whatever, the binders, I don't know what's happening there. But sometimes this one will work to erase something that was not removed by the blending stump, and sometimes this will work, and sometimes this will work. And sometimes this will work, you know. Besides, like, for example, this one having the additional purpose of being a little bit more precise if I wanted to, or this one, you know, because it's smaller as well. So they have these double purposes. The materials that I am not using, okay, and I think it crossed my mind to use a soft bristle brush and the powdered graphite for the background, but I was like, nah, whatever. I mean, it crossed my mind a handful of times because I mean, it's you know, it's a little bit faster and everything, but I decided not to, and I'm doing the background all by hand with the pencil. I'm not using blending stumps. I'm not using the soft bristle brush. I'm not using powdered graphite. Do I have the brush that I use for that stuff usually around here? Surely I do. Just give me a minute. Oh, here it is. This one. He is running, getting small, getting very small. Where did I get this? I'm pretty sure I brought this with me from Panama. It's not made in Panama or anything. It's made in China and then imported into Panama, okay? But that's besides the point. It's a soft bristle brush. I think it's synthetic. It's probably synthetic. Anyway, let me look at my notes again. Yeah, I think that's it. That is it so far. Let me know if you find this interesting, because I find it very interesting. Just, you know, when people talk about, oh, the art and whatever, it's like, I got the process, you know, this is the process, all right? That is the process. or it's like, it's even more zoomed in than that. But, it's still interesting to look at. Do you remember when CSI came out and they have these really cool shots of the people doing their whatever it is that they do, the crime scene investigation people in the labs with their coats and the goggles and stuff, and they're like looking at the thing, and they look super cool, and the shot is like 3 seconds long, but the actual thing is just not like that. It's not, I don't know from first-hand experience, but it makes a lot of sense to me that it is not nearly, you know, that cool like what they're trying to make it seem there. And not that it isn't cool, I'm just saying that it's not action-packed in that sort of way as it looks there. Anyway, it's just an analogy for what's happening here, all right? When you're in the trenches of any activity. So anyway, just tell me what you think. What kind of issues do you face when you're making your work? Do you change your mind? Would you just have started again and just started on another piece of paper? Just give up on the drawing? What would you have done? I'm curious here. Also, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a fantastic day.